I never thought a single piece of paper could set my entire life on fire. But then again, my life has been burning since the day I was born. For 28 years, I was the walking, breathing evidence of my mother's supposed sin. The child my father looked at with nothing but pure, unadulterated disgust because he was convinced I wasn't his. He called me his mistake, his burden, and eventually just the affair child, a title that followed me like a shadow from the dinner table to my high school graduation. But when I finally took a DNA test just to prove to myself who I really was, the results didn't just break our family. They exposed a lie so deep and so dark that it makes me wonder if I ever really knew these people at all. Was I wrong for tearing the family apart after 3 decades of silence, or would you have demanded the truth too? You see, the story of my miserable existence starts long before I can even remember, back when my parents, Sarah and Robert, were the it couple of their small town. My mother was a soft-spoken, beautiful woman who everyone loved, and my father was a high-achieving, somewhat arrogant man who took immense pride in his lineage and his reputation. They had my older brother, Marcus, 2 years before me, and he was the golden boy, blonde hair, blue eyes, the spitting image of my father. Then I came along. I was born with dark hair, olive skin, and eyes that didn't match anyone in the immediate family tree. Instead of seeing a unique individual, my father saw a betrayal. He convinced himself right there in the delivery room that my mother had stepped out on him with a guy she used to work with, a man who shared some of my physical traits. My mother spent 28 years crying, pleading, and swearing on her life that she had never been unfaithful. But the more she defended herself, the more Robert hated me. I grew up in a house where Marcus got brand new clothes while I got hand-me-downs that didn't fit. Marcus got a car for his 16th birthday, and I was told to get a job and walk to work because real sons get rewards, while charity cases get nothing. Every time I messed up, every time I got a B instead of an A, my father would sneer and say, "Well, what do you expect from an affair child? You don't have my blood in your veins, so you don't have my drive." It was a constant, low-grade psychological warfare. My mother, bless her, tried to protect me, but she was a shell of a woman, beaten down by years of accusations. She stayed because she had no money of her own, and because I think she hoped that one day I would grow up to look more like him and the truth would be obvious. But I didn't. I stayed dark and he stayed bitter. When I turned 28, I finally had enough of the comments. It was at a family Thanksgiving dinner where he stood up to give a toast to his family, and specifically pointedly ignored me, thanking Marcus for carrying on the family legacy. Something inside me snapped. I bought a DNA kit that night. I didn't tell anyone. I just wanted to know for myself. I wanted to see the name of the man who actually sired me so I could leave this house and never look back. I wanted to give Robert the satisfaction of being right, just so I could be free of the affair child label. But when the results hit my inbox 2 weeks later, I sat on my floor and screamed. It wasn't what I expected, not even close. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have kept the secret to keep the peace, or would you have burned the whole house down with the truth? Because what I found out changed everything. The DNA test showed that Robert was, in fact, my biological father. There was no doubt, 99.9% match. But there was a second part to the results. It showed my maternal matches. It turns out I wasn't the one who wasn't related to the family. It was Marcus. My golden boy brother, the one who looked exactly like my father, the one who was the pride and joy of the household, was the one who had zero biological connection to Robert. I was stunned. I did more digging, I paid for the premium services, and I found a match for Marcus's biological father, a man Robert used to call his best friend back in the day. The blue eyes and blonde hair weren't from my father. They were from the man my mother had actually had an affair with 2 years before I was born. My mother had cheated once, had Marcus, and somehow convinced herself or everyone else that he was Robert's. Then, when she had me, the actual biological son of my father's own deep-seated insecurity, and the coincidence of my recessive traits made him target the only person in the house who was actually his. I walked into their house the next Sunday with the papers printed out. I didn't say a word. I just laid them on the coffee table in front of my father while he was watching TV. He started to yell at me for interrupting him, calling me that boy again, until his eyes hit the names on the page. I watched the color drain from his face. I watched my mother walk into the room, see the papers, and literally collapse onto her knees. She didn't even try to deny it. The guilt she had been carrying wasn't for me. It was for the lie she had told about Marcus. My father spent 28 years treating his only biological son like garbage while worshiping the child of the man who betrayed him. The explosion that followed was cataclysmic. My father kicked my mother out that night. He stopped speaking to Marcus, who was devastated and had no idea about his true parentage. But the most twisted part, my father tried to come to me. He tried to hug me, crying, saying, "Son, I'm so sorry, I didn't know, we can fix this." I looked him dead in the eye and told him that he didn't have a son. He had an affair child, and since that's all I had been to him for 3 decades, that's all I would ever be. I walked out and I haven't looked back. My mother is living in a small apartment. Marcus is in therapy trying to figure out who he is, and my father is alone in that big house, surrounded by photos of a family that never truly existed. I realize that the truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it just leaves you standing in the ashes of a life that was built on a lie. But at least now, nobody can tell me who I am. I know my own worth, and it has nothing to do with the blood in my veins or the name on a birth certificate. I've started a new life in a different city, and for the first time, I don't feel like a mistake. Like this video if you were on my side and think I was right to walk away. Subscribe for more stories like this where the truth finally comes to light, and please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. Did my father deserve a second chance, or did he get exactly what was coming to him? I'll see you all in the next story.